extended holiday in the British Isles. One morning during the London leg of our adventure, we found ourselves waiting in a very long line to see the historic Westminster Abbey. There were throngs of people. I would speculate at least 5,000 souls were standing and moving about in that courtyard. Like most line configurations in our modern world of today, almost everyone in line was looking at their cell phone. They were doing that to pass the time, of course. And I, of course, was guilty as charged, likely checking my email, not paying too much attention to the people around me. Then suddenly I heard the voice of a woman inquiring if she could use one of our cell phones. We had been warned and cautioned by travel guides that travelers should be wary of pickpockets and scam artists. So I was all ready, I was ready to open my mouth and say, no, 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 go away. Leave us alone. But then I looked up from my phone and took in with my eyes the frightened eyes of a girl of 15 or 16. She explained to us that she had become separated from her school group and she couldn't find them anywhere. She was visiting from Germany, she went on to tell us, in her very perfect English, I may add. And she was hopeful that we could lend her one of our cell phones so she could call her group leader and tell her she was lost and needed help. Elizabeth and I gave each other that unspoken look that you do of, what should we do? Then we looked at the girl again and smiled and handed her one of our phones, working with her to figure out how to make that call. Our actions were a concern, understandably, to the other people who we were traveling with, fearing that we may be being scammed. But it just wasn't so. We had seen her, and she had seen us and asked for help. We had what she needed, and we decided in an instant that it was worth the risk to give it away in hopes that it would be enough to assist this young woman. Now, the young woman went on to make her call, got through to the leader, and secured a meeting place to be reunited with them. With that great thanksgiving, she handed us back the phone and moved on to meet her group. You see, it turned out okay. Now, you may be thinking, yes, but. Yes, but she could have been a scammer. Yes, she could have been after our money. She could have done this or that. And you are right. There is, and was, no way of knowing if her story was true or if our actions were wise. How, when you are in a situation like this, do you discern if it is okay? How do you know if you have the right answer or the right way to help? I can't tell you how, because that question can only be answered within you. What I can tell you is what made the difference that day in London was that we looked up. Remember, I was just about to send the girl away. Not even bother to look up and see her. But we did look up. And that changed everything for all three of us. Because in looking up, we saw her. And by the grace of God, we somehow didn't know what to do. And it was okay. In our gospel from today, we find Jesus and the disciples in a similar predicament. They had been on the road for a while now. Jesus' reputation was growing and quickly. Throngs of people had begun to follow him, hoping to see the signs he was performing on the sick. Jesus and his crew were weary from the intensity of their mission, and they took refuge on the other side of the Sea of Galilee. They were ready for a much-needed break, a mini-retreat. So Jesus went up the mountain and sat down there with his disciples to speak with them and rest a while. But it was not to last, because while they were sitting, taking those few precious moments, Jesus looked up and saw a large crowd coming at him and his disciples. What to do now? Gad, what are we going to do with all these people? Do you hear what the gospel says? It says the first thing Jesus did was look up. The Greek translation of this verse says that Jesus lifted up his eyes. Lifted them up, huh? If you will allow me to take this verse apart a little bit and explain that the Greek word here for eye, ophthalmos, which is in its root sense means the apple of the eye. Or metaphorically, it means that Jesus saw with the eyes of his mind. The verse goes on to say that as he lifts up his eyes, and then having seen them, the Greek word here, theomoe, means something like having looked up by perceiving. So what we hear in this verse is that Jesus, by raising his eyes and opening his mind, perceives the great need of the crowd. He learns what is needed by looking, not by looking at himself. He looks into them, not away from them. And with this understanding, he is able to pose the question to Philip, where are we going to buy bread for these people to eat? How are we going to give them what they need, Philip? Philip responds like most of us would respond, I think. Are you kidding? 6 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each of them to get a little. Don't you see, Jesus? We are staring down at a crowd of 5,000 plus, including women and children. And you really think we can feed them? This would be like the entire population of Sequim and Carlsberg, all assembled out in your parking lots. What would your response be? I can imagine there were a number of responses to Jesus from his followers. They may have been thinking, how many times are these people going to keep coming at us? They are tired, and we thought we were going to get a rest. Maybe they really don't need food anyway. How do we know that what they are really after? In the telling of this story in Luke and Mark, the disciples advised Jesus to send the crowd away. Go away. Well, I really don't think it's because they don't want to feed them. I like to believe that. Or that they don't think there is real need. I think it is because they can't figure out how to do it. They are afraid. They are afraid they will get it wrong. It's all too much, and it seems impossible, doesn't it? Too big to take care of. The disciple Andrew does his best to answer Jesus, telling him, well, there's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But still certain of defeat, he quickly adds, well, what are they among so many people? There is just not enough. Can't you see that? We don't know what to do, Lord. This is the best we've got, and it's not enough. Jesus does not respond with other ideas or lectures or tells them they have failed. He simply tells them to get everyone together, to invite the people to sit down on the grass, welcome them, see what they are asking for, and give them what you have to give. And then let me take it from here. I will show you the way, my beloved. So Jesus took what they had, and when he had given thanks, he distributed the bread to those who were seated, and also the fish, as much as they wanted. And they were satisfied. We don't know how he did do it. But what we do know is that they were all filled. And there was enough and more. Laying down their fear of scarcity brought about abundance that they never could have imagined. He didn't ask them to give more than they had, or give more energy or resources than they could muster. He only asked them where they could find enough bread for all the people, which included the disciples. He asked this so they would all be filled. And he still asks that question of us today. And we still struggle and get all tied up in what to do. Theologian and pastor Cheryl Bridges John says, we often say, whatever we have is not enough. Yet, as this text points out, the not enough is not the final answer, is it? I'm going to say that again. The not enough is not the final answer. When placed in the hands of Jesus, in the hands of God, human weakness and finitude become more than enough. We, my brothers and sisters, we are enough. We are that apple of God's eye. And we are loved and seen every moment of every day by our God, who looks up and sees us and gives us what we need. We mostly go into each day with a very real fear, I think, that we will encounter a situation or a need that we can't imagine how to fill. And we are certain that we are alone, and we ourselves are not enough. But we don't have to do it alone, do we? God believes in us and believes we will know what to do. And God will also love us no matter what action we take or not. It's true. All that is asked is that we look up and see the reflection of Jesus in each other and in ourselves, remembering that we are the apple of God's eye, and we are not alone. After that, we leave it to God, who will show us the way, and we will be filled. I leave you with the hope and the prayer from Paul's epistle, Sherry read a little bit ago. I pray that you may have the power to comprehend with the saints what is the breadth and the length and the height and the depth, and to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, so that you may be filled with all the fullness